As promised, I built a redneck air conditioner, and not just a run-of-the-mill version, but the deluxe model. If you want to see one built, get a list of the parts, where to get them, wiring diagrams, plans, and the tools used, then you are watching the right video. I will be going fast, so you may need to watch this video more than once, or do lots of pausing. I will not be going into every detail, but if you are kind of handy in the crafting area, you will figure those details out. Okay, here we go. I started with a Rubbermaid cooler I already owned. You might do the same. I got a cutting board at Big Lots for $7 to mount all the parts to before mounting it to the cooler. I ordered the fan from Walmart. It is an Atwood Turbo 3000 inline fan, 100 CFM. It cost me $25.52 shipped. The pump is a Mayfair 500 gallon per hour 12 volt submersible. I got it from a dealer I will not mention for $38.49 shipped. A much better price can be found in the link I have provided in the video information below. I got the DC jack and the power light from Radio Shack. Switches came from O'Reilly's Auto Parts. The dryer vent came from Lowe's for under $7. All the nuts and bolts and PVC piping and fittings, etc. came from here and there. The switch box is an old AB computer switch box. I found no less than 4 of them in my computer parts junk shelf. If you know anyone who has been computing for 15 years or more, they are more than likely to have one. I got the temperature sensor unit from Amazon for $14.73 shipped. I designed this unit for our van. We travel to do service work in Alabama and are on the road for 4 and 5 days in a row. We sleep in the van, and in Alabama, that can result in a hot night's sleep. To make the ice last longer, I wanted the unit to shut off and on automatically. This is the best I could find to do that. It will try to keep the van at 65 degrees. The first thing I did was make a pattern of the top of the cooler. I used some foil Christmas wrapping paper to do that. It worked well. I then translated that pattern to the cutting board using a fine tip Sharpie. I cut the board with a saber saw first, then used a belt sander to get it right to the line. I finished up by hand sanding the edges smooth. It fit dead on. The next step was to transform the AB box into a switch box and also the mount for the turbo fan. To help absorb vibration, I cut a couple pieces of 1/8 inch hard rubber to go on the bottom and the back of the switch box. Buy this glue. It is awesome. I got it at Lowe's. I forget what I paid for it, but it was worth every penny. I marked out, then cut the openings in the front and side of the control box to fit the switches, jack, and lights using a Dremel tool and a drill press. I then did the soldering and wiring and test fit everything. I made the mount for the temperature switch from part of an old DVD case. The small bolts and nuts are reused from the parts I removed from the AB switch box. Here is the wiring schematic. I mounted the turbo fan to the back of the switch box. Then I made patterns of the items using some poster board and a compass. I transferred the pattern cutout points to the cutting board. I cut out the openings with a saber saw, then cleaned up the openings with a round file. Using the cutting board as my pattern, I transferred the cutout openings to the cooler top. I did the cutting with a saber saw and again cleaned up the openings with a round file. I drilled the mounting holes based on the structure under the lid as close as possible. Next was to mount the elements to the cutting board. First, the switch box turbofan unit. I mounted it using flathead bolts I could countersink in the bottom of the cutting board. The directable vent was installed by connecting two 2-inch couplers through the cutting board using a very short piece of 2-inch PVC pipe and squeezing the board. You will need some PVC glue for this work and the water wall portion of this project. Be sure to cut the hole in the cooler the size of the coupler, not the size of the pipe. The board is cut to fit the pipe. I then put a coat of paint on the switch box front and top and mounted all the electronics. I then drilled a hole down through the bottom of the switch box and just through the first layer of the cooler top. I drilled another hole from inside the cooler up through the first layer, back near the hinge. I fished the wire down and out for the pump. Using some window and door, low expanding insulation foam, I filled all the void areas in the cooler top. Don't try to clean up as you go. If you get it anywhere you don't want it, let it set up and it will pop right off later. I cleaned up the openings with a serrated steak knife after the foam had cured. Before mounting the board to the cooler, I had to connect the cooler side ducting. I could not find any PVC elbow to fit this fan, so I used a galvanized elbow. I had to cut slits in it every ½ inch to get it to fit over the bottom end of the turbo fan. I used the sumo glue to attach it. I put a strip of wax paper around the connection and used a dryer vent hose clamp to hold it till it set up. Be sure to orient the duct so that when you turn the sections to the right position, your duct is pointing away from your vents and toward the water wall. I also removed the last section from the elbow so it would duct the air in a slightly downward trajectory. I carved a little wedge of plastic and glued it to the latch of the dryer vent so I could hold the flap closed should I only want to use the directional vent. The dryer vent was installed last using 4 stainless steel screws attached only to the cutting board. Get the right length screws here. Using the large cutout from the cutting board, I made a foot for the pump and again glued rubber to the bottom. I wanted to screen over the fan, so I used a 3-inch coupler. It would not fit tight, so I cut a strip of 1/8 inch rubber and glued it around the fan flange. I used the big hose clamp to hold it till the glue set up. I cut a screen from some 1/4 inch hardware cloth and painted it black. It will keep stuff from falling in or being sucked into the fan. I'm not going to go step by step for the water wall. Here it is as I needed it to be to fit my cooler and accommodate my pump. Notice the sump line on one leg. This will allow you to empty your cooler of used ice water. I plugged the end of mine when not in use with a wire nut. I drilled 3 rows of holes in each of the 3 top pipes. 1 row to spray on the outside wall of the cooler, 1 row straight down, and 1 row diagonally toward the duct. I used as small a drill bit as I could find and drill a hole every 3/8 of an inch. Okay, it's assembled and ready to go. Let's give it a test run.
Over here, take a picture.
Can't wait to put 20 pounds of ice in it and see what it does. I'll be doing a video soon with some real-world test results. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.